You got to be okay with that. I don't see many times when Jesus was encouraged.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of any.
I know. I mean, he was probably encouraged when a Roman official comes to him and says, hey, I know all you have to do is just say the word and she'll be healed. You don't have to come. You know, I think he's encouraged by that, but there's nothing recorded of John going, hey, man, Jesus, that sermon you gave up on the Mount, damn, that was amazing.
You killed it, Jesus. Yeah,
oh, my gosh. Welcome to The Aggressive Life. Big news coming up on our 300th episode. That's pretty amazing, Dirt.
That's a lot of episodes.
Been you and me the whole time, 300.
Man, 300.
Jeez.
Still going.
Right. Pretty amazing. And we're going to do some changes. I like changes. Changes always hopefully take you forward. That's why you make the change. And we're going to start going video with our podcast. If you don't want to watch on video, that's great. I probably wouldn't watch my own podcast on video because I tend to listen to podcasts when I'm driving, and I don't want to necessarily look at a screen while I'm driving. But you can keep listening to the podcast on whatever platform you have, or if you're on a platform that allows video, YouTube, Spotify, yada, 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 we're going to be paying a little more time and attention towards how things look and doing it on video. So that's a change that's coming, trying new things. I'm looking forward to it. And hey, why don't you help somebody else try a new thing too? You know, you can do that by subscribing and leaving us a positive review. Go ahead and do it. Go ahead, do it. Try it. Try something new. Leave a review. My name is Brian. I'm your friend. I'd love to grow this podcast, and you can help me with it. So that's what's going on. If you do that, we're even going to give you an Aggressive Life sticker. It's on the honor system. Just let Dirt know. Dirt@briantome.com. Dirt@briantome.com. So the rest of the time today, we're going to deal with some Q&A, questions you've sent in, and we're going to go for them. Let's have it, Dirt.
All right, great. Here we go. First one, kind of big picture. What new things are you planning for this year? New things that you're excited about, projects, trips. What are you excited about?
Well, I just got off the phone with my son earlier on today.
All right.
And the big trip I'm excited about this year is I'm going to ride to the northernmost part of the world.
And where is that located?
That's Prudhoe Bay,
okay.
Northern part of Alaska. You go to Fairbanks in Alaska and just keep going north on gravel road till you can't go any further. I tried to do that once before, 14 years ago, and it was a horrible trip. Horrible. It was brutal. It was awful. It rained every day and every night. Every night I slept in a tent, and every morning I woke up in a tent, and it was raining. My bike broke down on day 2. And I had a home equity credit line check. I'm like, I'm committed. I'm going this thing. So I went into a dealer. I bought a brand new bike with a home equity credit line. I said, I'd sell it afterwards. And I just took off. And then you have to break in a motorcycle. There's a break-in period. So for 600 miles, I'm doing horrible stuff. And all that stuff meant that I didn't make my goal of actually getting to Prudhoe Bay. We came up short. It was a brutal trip. And so we're going to go back and do it again. I don't think I can have worse weather. Now I know what I'm in for. I'm going to be a little more prepared for it. And my son and I, we were denied back then, and he's putting the trip together with some other friends of mine are going to go as well. And so riding to the end of the world, that's awesome. That's a big deal.
How long does it take to get to the end of the world?
Oh, dude.
From Cincinnati, Ohio.
We're allocating 2 weeks to go from Cincinnati through Fairbanks up to Prudhoe and then back down to Anchorage.
Yeah.
And we may not make it, so we should make it. But that's why we're not going to do a lot of sightseeing on the way up. It's hammered
cruising.
down. It's hammered down. Let's do 500-mile days. Let's go.
Dang.
So that's one thing. I think the biggest thing, new thing I'm doing, Dirt, is I'm spending a lot more time right now with people who are older and can be mentors to me. I thought I was done with that. I thought that I was done having a mentor because I, quite frankly, got to a place where I'm looking around at people I used to run with, and they've dropped off or dropped so far back. You know, when you're faithful to Christ for the decades I have, and you've built some things, you know, to find somebody who who is older than you and who has built something larger than you have. So therefore, they can put wisdom into you, and somebody who has similar gifts to you, and someone who, like, there's not a lot of people like that, right?
Yeah.
Who's been married longer than you have, who has kids who love you and follow Christ. There's just not a lot of people. And God's brought a few people into my life I'm spending some time with, and the reason that's a new thing for me is that this is maybe the most important year of my life because, as one of our guests, Bob Beal, had said, who's actually one of my people, I have regular phone calls with Bob now, who wrote the book Decades. The 60s should be my most productive decade of my life. And so I have 9 months left as a 59-year-old until I kick into 60.
You're getting ready. I'm
getting ready, and I'm boning up for it, and I'm spending time with some unique people and just getting ready for a really important run.
Well, it's great. You actually answered my second question with that one, which someone wanted to know if you still had mentors. So we know the answer is yes. So I'm going to shift it a little bit. What do you do with your mentors? I mean, you just get on the phone call, you tell them what's going on in your life, you let them download into you. What does that time look like?
I believe in the rabbinic model of mentoring, which is you come to the person with questions.
Okay.
I'm fine if someone wants to come and bring an agenda for me, but I find that when someone brings an agenda, like Bob brought an agenda for me last time we got together, and I didn't find it helpful. And I told him that. I said, "Hey, man, I feel like you got to be asking me questions. You got to know what I'm dealing with. You're teaching me things here I'm really not interested in, and you're not taking time to actually hear where I am." If someone is in on that page, it's actually easier for them. They don't feel like they have to prepare anything. Just draw from your well.
Yeah.
So that's I think where it's best, is when someone asks questions. I'm not going to give somebody a teaching on how to have adult children who like you, unless they want to hear that.
They want to know.
Unless they want to know that.
Right.
I'm not going to give a teaching on how to do a campaign or how to prepare a talk or how to find the right leader or how to understand what might be a life-giving hobby. Unless someone, they got to ask that. So that's the main thing, giving space to just ask people.
Great. Actually leads into another question. You do have adult children that like you.
Yes, I do.
So if you're thinking back on it, somebody wanted to know, what are the most important things you did with your son growing up to help build the relationship that you have now? And was that different than what you did with your daughters, or was it the same?
With my son specifically, well, it's hard to answer any question like this without giving the caveats of I did a lot wrong. I did a lot wrong with all my kids. I don't want to go there, but I just want to say I am not the model parent. No one is the model parent, and I've got more than my bruises and given my kids their share of bruises, for sure. But I think a number of things to do with my son. We just had today actually a half-hour conversation about Alaska and how it's going to work. We're talking regularly. It's really good. I think one of the things that I did that was a number of things I did that was smart with him was finding things that he and I could do together that we both liked. That ended up being motorcycles. If I was thinking about this better, I would have gotten him hunting when he was 12. I didn't hunt. We probably should have taken up hunting because he could be a youth hunter and figure something out like that in Ohio. So doing something together, I think is really important. I think another thing that's really important, or at least it's good for us, is pull him into your friend group. So when I would take him on rides as a 16-year-old, all of a sudden he's around a campfire with older guys who are doing beers. I told him, hey, man, you're on a campfire with my friends. If you want to have beer, you can have beer or whatever. And it wasn't about the beer so much as it was he was then getting built into by older men. He was norming up expectations of what a man was
Totally.
based on how older people were around. And I think that bore just a lot of fruit. I mean, in fact, we're going to Alaska and it's all my friends. It's all people he met through me.
Yeah,
Who's going?
totally.
No one his age is going because it's still actually hard to carve out that time to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that was really good.
Awesome. And is it the same? Is it the same answer if you have daughters? Just find something to do together.
The daughters, okay, every daughter is different. Every child is different. You've got to figure out, what it is that stokes your interest, what stokes your girl's interest. And I admit, my kids, we talk about it a lot. I gave my son a lot more time because we had some of the more things in common that you would do from a hobby standpoint.
Right.
And thankfully, my girls don't appear to be bitter about it. My youngest daughter, if anyone should be bitter, it would be my youngest daughter, because by the time she came around, we had a 5-year gap between number 2 and 3, and I was just tired. We talked about that. I was tired. I was tired of being around. I was tired of diapers. I was tired of reading to kids. I was tired of another chapter. She actually got my worst. I don't think she got Lib's worst. She got my worst. But for your daughters, it's doing what needs to be done to help them feel that they are loved and protected. Loved and protected. Daddy has you. Loved and protected. Whatever that is, whatever game that is, whatever book that is, whatever conversation that is, time spent, just take them with you. My daughter said, I was just thinking about this the other day, the best thing to do as a parent is just always have your kids with you. So I would go to Home Depot, and kids, they got to go. They got to go. When they're real little, I stick them in the cart and I wheel them around Home Depot. We do wheelies, and people think I'm ridiculous because I'm pushing the cart too fast. I'm doing it intentionally to give them fun. I'm giving them a cheap ride, right?
Yeah. And
then when they get older, they can't do it. They got to keep up. So my daughter, some time ago, she took a video of me. We went to the store together, and she was walking behind me as I was walking faster, because they laugh because I walk so fast. And she goes, "This is back to my childhood, following dad who's walking too fast for me." Just be with your kids.
I love it. This is an interesting question. What is something you've changed your mind on recently, and what pushed you to do that?
Oh, man. When I was with one of my mentors, Bob Beal, I asked him a question our last time together, and he said, "Could I take a minute to just think about that?" And I said, "Yeah." And so he was there in Zoom, and there I was, just looking at him while he had his eyes down, just thinking for a minute. And you would think, like, I'm paying him to do this, right? You would think that I would have thought, this is horrible. I'm paying you, and I'm paying you a minute of downtime for this. That was not what I thought at all. As soon as you said that, I was like, this is great. Yeah. I'd rather have an informed opinion from you than just spouting something off. And then I started thinking, how often do I just, boom, have an answer like that?
Yep.
So actually what I'm going to do, because could I have a minute to think about it? And let's edit this. Let me just have a minute to think about this. Sure. In fact, from now on, whenever I want that, I say, hey, let's have a minute to think about it. There we go. I was just thinking about this today, so that's the one that I'll go with. I changed my mind on retirement savings.
Okay.
I used to think it was a good thing to do, but not really necessary. And I heard people talking about it, and what I heard or saw, and the folks who were really fired up on it when I was younger, was somebody who doesn't want to work, and somebody who makes so much money they don't even know what to do with it all, so they may as well have retirement savings. And I was just thinking recently, I was really wrong on that. Fortunately, I have been doing retirement savings, but begrudgingly, and also not as much as I should have been. I should have been doing it more in my early years. And I've become a big retirement savings guru for the standpoint of giving yourself freedom later in life, not because you don't want to work anymore, but giving yourself freedom. I didn't see that, and I didn't understand that to go after that earlier.
Right. Great. So sports betting is taking off.
Yeah.
How do you feel about sports betting?
It's horrible. It's utterly freaking horrible.
Tell me more.
Seriously pisses me off.
Yeah? Why?
Well, first of all, I like gambling.
Okay.
I do. I'm going to Vegas the next couple weeks to see the Sphere, because the technology corresponds with some of the stuff we're doing at Crossroads, and it's going to be pretty cool. And we're actually making a very, very aggressive move with LED walls at our sites. We have a new room that will have the same computing power that's at the Sphere.
Oh, wow.
When we place our order for the LEDs, you won't be able to buy any in the entire country for a couple weeks.
Because we'll have them all.
We'll have them all. It'll take a while for it to come back, right? It's not just sticking these LEDs. It's all the programming, the technology behind it. It's going to be, we're calling it the Wonder Wall. It's got like, that's not the question. I just say, I'm going to Vegas, and I am darn sure going to play blackjack in Vegas. So but here's the thing. When I go to Vegas and when I lose, which I mostly do, I win enough to keep it interesting and have hope. But when I go to Vegas and I look around at the tables of the people who are in Vegas, invariably, those are all people who can afford to lose money. Because they're there with their job. They have a job. They're there on a convention. They're there to go see an expensive Sphere thing. And so they got a budget, and they go and they may lose thousands. I don't lose thousands when I do lose, but they may lose. But they're okay. Like I will never go and gamble at the casino in Cincinnati because I know it's just made up of people who shouldn't be there. They can't afford it. Sorry, a casino is a place to lose money. That's what a hobby is. You lose money, but it's worth it. The casino is not a place to go to make money, to have your hopes. That's what's happening with the online betting. I think it's horrible. I think we're going to see a brand new surge in suicide that's going to come from young men. And I think it's going to be traced to it because I'm having a hard time figuring out life. I'm having a hard time finding a job. I'm having a hard time finding the right job. I'm having a hard time finding a woman who likes me and wants to go out with me. I'm having a hard time. And now I find this thing that's kind of fun. And oh no, and now I am in the hole financially because I just lost a lot of money in bets. I am a loser. I have new levels of shame. I can't share it with somebody. And suicide rate's going to go up. It's horrible. It's horrible. And not only this, I would say this. All of these celebrities who are doing this deal, come on, dudes. Come on. You do you not know what you're doing? You're not reaching the six-figure earner in corporate America who just wants to make his football viewing pleasure a little better. If you do that, that's fine. Good, fine. The people I know, people who are really into it, they know their market. It's a similar market to check cashing going, to payday loans.
Yeah.
These are predominantly lower income people. You're making it easier for them to make a bad financial decision. There's a reason you're giving people. They give people like $100 to open up the app.
Right.
Why are you giving? Because you're going to get it back. That's why. So, I think it's horrible. I think it's atrocious, and I grieve for young men on this because that's the carnage. It's yet another thing we're doing to hurt younger men. Not good at all.
Here's a deep one. Okay. My husband went through a deconstruction after our marriage, and now we're on different pages spiritually. What do I do?
Well, I would probably camp out on that passage in the New Testament in Corinthians that says that husbands are saved through their wife. Some translations say saved. I think the best translation, though, is sanctified. That he's not a Christian anymore, and that has to really hurt you. And it's horrible. That's a bummer. Sorry about that. But know that you being faithful in the house still makes him sanctified. What that means is he's set apart. What that means is he's still on some sort of growth track. I would look at it that way. I'm in this thing. You can still be faithful to your husband. You don't have cause for divorce. That's not the right option here. Just be a good wife. Serve your God as the best you can and go forward. And hopefully you as an example of a faithful person will hopefully bring him back. And you preaching to him also is not going to do it because you preaching to him hasn't kept him in the faith. So you preaching to him probably is not going to get him back in the faith. But maybe seeing a respectful, strong, confident, humble wife who serves her God and is a blessing to him, I could still do it.
I'm getting married this summer. What was the biggest tension point for you and Libby after you were first married?
We didn't talk about some critical things before we got married, and we should have. If you can talk about some really uncomfortable things before you get married, it makes them 10 times easier than after you get married. We had different sexual expectations. We had different financial expectations. And we had a sex talk or a financial talk in our pre-marriage counseling, but we didn't really get into, okay, what's your expectations in the bedroom? What's your background been sexually? What do you think sex should look like in marriage? Financially, how would you spend money? What are the things you want to spend money on? You like to spend money on experiences or on things? How important is savings to you? Who should control the checkbook? Is there somebody who controls the checkbook? There's a bunch of questions and discussions we should have had in those two areas, and a bunch of others too that we should have had. So I would say right now, have those hard discussions now, because if you can do it now, it's going to make it way easier. And it's not that you're going to scare the person off. At this point, you're probably not going to call off the marriage for those things, but you're at least going to broach the topic, which will make it a heck of a lot easier than when you discover these things after the fact, and then you're really stressed. You're like, what did I just walk into? Did I just get snookled and bamboozled? So have those hard discussions in those tough topics early.
Right. I'm a single female in my mid-30s. What's your best advice to find a 5 marks kind of man?
I get asked this a lot. And I really wish I had a strong answer for you. The truth is, there's just not that many 5 marks of a man kind of guys. And that's why Dirt and I are really passionate about that content and doing everything we can to get it out there. Now, I've also talked about, have we talked about this book idea I have?
No.
Oh, yeah. I think we should actually do 5 marks for a woman edition.
Yeah.
5 marks of a man you should find, and write it to women.
I like it.
You know, the same 5 things, but like write it to them. Like, here's how you know if somebody's a team player.
How to see that in someone else.
Right, how to see
Interesting. Okay.
You know, because of course, if you ask a guy, are you
I'm a team player?
Of course, I'm a team player. Of course, I'm a team player. Are you a protector? Of course, I'm a protector. But that doesn't mean you are. It means you like to identify as one. Doesn't mean you are one. So I think there's something there, because we could really help. 5 marks of a man you should find, or something like that. So one of the things you can do is say, where would that kind of man be? Where would he hang out? And go there. Where are those places? Well, then we just talk about team. Is there a rec league? I know in Cincinnati there's a rec league. Is there a rec league? I know people who've met amazing spouses there, because if someone's signing up for a rec league, they want some sort of team environment.
That's right.
You know, because they're signing up for volleyball or for soccer or whatever the whole rec league is. So look at those marks. Say, where might I find that mark? Here's another really weird one. Protector. Why don't you go to a concealed carry class and go to a gun range? Not everybody who carries a gun is a protector. There's a percentage of dudes who just want to feel cool and powerful. But you may find that the kind of person who wants to do that wants to protect. There's a lot of people carry guns because they want to protect.
That's right. Yeah.
Not because they want to be cool. You know, you start talking about a vision. Where would I go where there would be people for a vision? Hopefully, you can go to some place at a church where there's young men that are getting these things. So just think, where would somebody who is this be? And just go be around those places.
So we were just in a prayer session this morning where someone shared that leaders get 47 times criticism than they do praise.
Yes.
So someone asked, how do you handle criticism? Does the 47X feel like it's true for you? And then how do you handle criticism?
Oh, I 100% feel 47X is true for me. And it's not because I have 47 more times of people attacking me. It's just 47 more times of, have you thought about this? You should do this. Why did you do this? Why, how we should have done this. That was bad planning there. And when you think about how many people like actually say, hey, man, that was awesome. Like when I give I'll give a talk to, it's called 30,000 people, right? I don't remember the last email I had saying that was good and helpful. I'm sure I've had one. I just can't put I think I hit it pretty well this last weekend. I didn't.
Crickets.
I had one guy, I would classify him as a friend who texted me and said, I've never experienced immediate healing before I did. Thank you. You know, I don't get anything like, hey, I never thought about that passage before. Hey, man, thanks for being as vulnerable as you are. You talked about opening a door and trying to hurt somebody's car. No, I never get that. You know?
Do you think people think that you get it all the time? And so they're like, he's probably going to hear from somebody else.
I think that's part of it.
For some people.
Yeah. That's part of it. Other part is people don't want to feel like they're sucking up. A lot of it is we're all overwhelmed with our to-do list. And I don't have time to do that. Right. I think that's a piece of it. So the way you have to recognize that's how people are, and it goes with the territory, and people aren't intentionally trying to not encourage you. It's just that's not where most people are, and you got to be okay with that. I don't see many times when Jesus was encouraged.
Yeah, that's true. I can't think of any.
I know. I mean, he was probably encouraged when a Roman official comes to him and says, hey, I know all you have to do is just say the word and she'll be healed. You don't have to come. You know, I think he's encouraged by that, but there's nothing recorded of John going, hey, man, Jesus, that sermon you gave up on the Mount, damn, that was amazing.
You killed it, Jesus. Yeah,
oh, my gosh. There was not even like, hey, you walked on water, and thanks for walking on water and lifting me up. No, there's no record of that anywhere. That's just
that's interesting.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna keep this short and tight, so we're just gonna do one more.
Okay.
I saw that Santa came to visit. How did your family like Santa? Gabby Claus, who we had on the podcast earlier.
It was really cool.
Yeah.
It was. Yeah. So. Hired Santa Claus, who looks like Santa Claus. You can go back and listen to the Christmas episode if you want. And I set gifts outside, one for each of the kids. And then he came and he knocked, and I opened up the door. And so my one grandchild, who's the biggest believer, like my oldest grandchild, JJ, he's like, I don't know. JJ is, oh gosh, what is he? I don't know. Let's just call it 8. And then his younger sister, LL. These are all nicknames I give to him. LL. She's 6. So she's right in the pocket of this is real. So knock the door, and LL is she's an extrovert. So she's always up and bouncing. She's really cheerful kid. So I go and I open the door, and there he is. He is freaking Santa Claus. Like the right boots, everything, the right. And she looks at him, and she turns around and runs away. She runs away and goes and start crying here. She goes and she stands behind like the wall. There's a table wall thing. She goes and stands behind, and she's watching him, you know. And I thought, wow, that's really profound, because what she got overwhelmed with was the holiness and the otherness of Santa.
Oh, wow.
You know?
Yeah.
It wasn't like, Santa, I love you. She got overwhelmed by the whole,
like he's here.
Oh my gosh,
yeah.
this is, and she just got overwhelmed in the of it, you know? Which then I get emotional, because I think the Bible actually gives us clues to that all the time. Mm-hmm. Isaiah 6, seraphim and cherubim, they got wings that are over top of their face so they can't look on the presence of God, wings over top of their feet because they feel unworthy. you always have some of these songs. Like one of them I listen to, I like a lot. You know, it goes, when I lock eyes with you, when I lock eyes with you, and it goes, I'm like, you're not going to lock eyes with God. Have you never read the Bible? You're not going to lock eyes. I know this is your romance fantasy for Jesus to be romance. What a beautiful name it is when you go see God, you're going to be freaked out. Mm-hmm. You're not going to handle it. You're falling to your knees. You're covering your face. He is holy and he is other. And I was reminded of that with her. Like she wanted no part of it. She's like, whoo, whoo, like not scared. Like she literally turned and ran. When I say not like it was like this calm like holiness that came over her, like whoo. She went over and just camped out like, am I safe? Can I do this? Bam. It was pretty powerful. So then he sat down and the youngest ones, they didn't have that same thing because it hasn't really sunk in. I have five grandkids. Finally, she worked up the courage, and she came over and she stood right in front of them. And her mother, my daughter Lena, had set this up because she wanted she knew what she wanted, and she said, "Do you have a unicorn chair? Can I have a unicorn chair?" It's really personal because if I put Santa in the God seat for a moment, you just see yourself. You see yourself in that question, right? You're going, do you care enough about me? Do you know me well enough? Mm-hmm. Are you powerful and big enough? Fortunately, out on the porch was a unicorn chair in a box.
Amazing.
I know. So we brought that in. We had our excuses. There was a fire. Santa couldn't come down the chimney or all that stuff. And it was a beautiful picture of heaven, a beautiful picture of us and God that I learned from her. So yeah, it was a smash success.
Awesome. Love it.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right. Well, hey, keep bringing the questions, not the ones that make me cry, but any question you want. Love to help you in your life, and thanks for coming. We'll see you next time on Aggressive Life. Thanks for joining us on this journey toward aggressive living. Find more resources, articles, past episodes, and more at briantome.com. My new book, a 60-day devotional called The 5 Marks for Man, 60 Days to a Powerful Life, along with all the other books in the 5 Marks library, are open right now on Amazon. Be sure to leave us a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcast. Then send an email to that's dirt at briantome.com to get a free Aggressive Life sticker. Find more on Instagram at briantome. The Aggressive Life is a production of Crossroads Church, Cincinnati, Ohio.